Facebook Live.
Okay, I just want to welcome David Martin, and as you can hear, everyone sees the meeting is being recorded. And David, welcome.
Thank you.
We are very excited to have you here this morning, and we're just waiting for Facebook Live to start. We usually have membership attend the morning meeting, and over the course of the days, this will be viewed, between 300 to 1,000 times. So everyone watch yourselves. Lots of people viewing. Good morning and welcome to Chamber Chat with Mayor Dan Gelber. I'm Robin Jacobs, Chair of the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce, and I'm privileged to co-host this morning's program with Jerry Libin, President and CEO of the Chamber, and Chair-elect Aaron Tandy. What a dynamic duo I have co-hosting with me this morning. I'd like to recognize past Chair of the Board, Michael Goldberg, Senior Vice President, Iberia First Horizon Bank, and to recognize and thank Iberia First Horizon Bank for their sponsorship of this program. I want to thank Michelle Berger, Mayor Gelber's Chief of Staff, and Adrian Chamberlain, and of course, the incredible team at the Chamber for their efforts today and every day. It's now my personal privilege to introduce our guest for today, David Martin. David is the CEO of Miami-based development firm Terra. He has cultivated a portfolio of more than 5 million square feet of residential and commercial real estate value in excess of $8 billion. Yes, $8 billion. The firm is active across all major real estate asset classes, and he oversees several facets of Terra's business, including real estate development, design, construction, finance, marketing, sales, and leasing. Under David's leadership, Terra has achieved international acclaim for its commitment to design excellence, resiliency measures, and a sustainable development. David has taken a proactive role in ensuring his hometown is built to last. Terra integrates green space, resilient construction methods, transit connectivity, and renewable energy into its developments wherever possible. Additionally, is involved in several boards and organizations, including Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce. Terra's commitment to the community is underscored by Terra's historic role in charitable, civic, arts, and cultural organizations. It truly is my honor to introduce one of the nicest men in Miami Beach, David Martin. Good morning, David, and welcome.
Good morning, Robin. Good morning, everyone. I'm not sure, I have a little bit of an echo. I think it went away. Thank you so much for your time today. I promise to be brief and efficient, but am available for any questions after I give a brief little overview on what's going on with Terra and what's going on in Miami Beach, which I'm sure you all are very familiar with. So first, I wanted to just kind of give you a quick highlight. I'm gonna, I guess if maybe Robin or Jerry, you can let me share screen, that'd be great. I don't know if you're—
Charlotte, are you able to let David share screen?
Yes, of course, 1 second.
All right, thank you so much. Just to give you a brief, I wanted to give a brief update on what's happening with Five Park and what the progress is there. Wanted to talk a little bit about kind of our goal. I think here it is. There we go. Thank you. So, as you know, we're building this project here at the 6th and Alton and 7th and Alton, and it's it's really coming together. I don't know if anyone's seen it lately, but really we had a few delays trying to get the cistern underground that's going to be holding all the stormwater, holding a portion of the stormwater capacity for the neighborhood. But for the most part, this park is happening, and it's really kind of in comparison to some of the other parks. I think it's something that we're excited about and really completing. And just a brief overview, the bridge that we are building. So we already started construction on this tower. We closed a loan with Blackstone, probably one of the largest loans, construction loans for Miami Beach, maybe for South Florida. And Moss is our general contractor and is building that. And we're excited about it. And you know, I think the bridge will probably start construction, I would say 12 to 15 months from today. We want to get the garage structure up. And then once we have that garage structure up, we're going to be able to start the bridge and kind of really deliver on our promises to the city and comply with our development agreement. We recently had the Aspen Institute tour the park and its construction, and we're really excited. I don't know if anyone's been able to really see what this park it really is doing, but you know, it has a lot of water quality wells. You know, I forgot the exact number, but a significant amount of water quality for the entire South Beach Basin. So it actually cleans the water prior to allowing it to get pumped into our beautiful, pristine Biscayne Bay. We're coordinating on some outfalls and whatnot with Durham and the fines, the Florida Inland Navigation District, to make sure we have a great, you know, very good, well-connected system. Because really, you know, having one park solving some stormwater management issues is one thing, but you know, really, you know, when you think about it, we really need all properties in the city of Miami Beach to really contribute to these resiliency ideas, right? And so, you know, this kind of talks a little bit about kind of the habitat, the cistern that we just installed, some of the lighting that we're doing, all the rainwater management bioswales that we're doing, and this kind of gives you some of our capacity and you know, kind of how much rainfall we could actually hold and kind of you know, what the disposal capacity is and whatnot. So you know, this is an important element. It's something that I think, speaking of the city, you know, we kind of, you know, Miami Beach was really moving forward aggressively in kind of working on a lot of the challenges that we're dealing with you know, raising roads and that harmonization with the existing context. And you know, it's something that, you know, I'd love to talk to the chamber a little bit about. You know, I had a recent call on this resilient code with the team that the city of Miami Beach is working with, and you know, a lot of the ideas talk about a code for new development, right? And which I think is important, that when we do build, we build with solutions like this project here, right? And so one of the challenges that I'm imploring kind of you know, the city to look at, and I think the chamber should be looking at as well, is how do we look at the existing buildings and the existing footprints, and how do we start incentivizing, whether it's condo associations, you know, in a more urban scale, or hotel owners in an urban scale, or even single family owners in our residential neighborhoods, to kind of also do things, you know, whether it's increasing setback, whether it's planting trees in a certain way, planting certain types of trees, raising seawalls, you know, installing, you know, a lot of the larger buildings that have larger land areas have an ability to hold water and control water, and store it. And but it's something that we always focus a lot on new development, but when you really think of kind of the existing fabric of Miami Beach, and you look at the limitations that cities have, right? Cities have access to right-of-ways. They have, they have challenges with that. They also have, the swales next to these right-of-ways. They have parks and public parks and ideas of creating water squares and other ways to kind of manage water, in a smart planning, from a smart planning perspective. But we also have to start looking at existing properties, because when you really think about it, probably 90% of the landmass is owned by the private sector. And probably 10% of that landmass is available for either new development or is public right of way, et cetera. And so, what I'm, trying to get the engineers and planners and kind of thinking, right, about, well, what are the solutions for existing property owners? What can they do to retrofit their systems, whether it's from a green infrastructure perspective, whether it's from installing cisterns, throughout our city, whether it's installing, I know there's a proposal to install, I forgot the number, 10,000 trees. These are things that I believe, that I truly believe in, that we need to come together as a community. And I think the chamber has been doing that with a significant amount of discussions. The question is, how do we engage the right consultants to not only look at new development, but also look at the existing context and the existing property owners, and really trying to find solutions there. And I think that is a critical. I think resiliency and water resiliency is one of our key marks. I think obviously public safety and security. Being a resident of Miami Beach, it's something that it's a national issue and a local issue, but it's something that we all know we need the right professionals at the city to really solve and help us with. But I think we, as a business group, need to really start thinking about outside of new construction, what type of adaptation and harmonization can we do with existing properties, and really trying to get consultants to come up with those solutions, and then start incentivizing owners, to do those improvements. And those incentives could be, there's a grant program that I know the city has right now where they cover 50% of the cost of any water resilient a design solution that basically meets a criteria. That's a big step. I don't know how much overall funding there is there, but I really think we need to be thinking creatively. And I'm really, looking to you all to really try to participate as much as you can on this resiliency code that the city is adopting and kind of workshopping and working with and engaging with a lot of the business community and the development community and the architectural community to really think about and really make Miami Beach kind of a symbolic and solution-oriented design solutions, rather than kind of a little bit of a stall that we had, where what we find is we a lot of times are finding a lot of the engineering and the engineering solutions and the community outreach sometimes is slowing down some of these projects. And to be perfectly frank, it's a struggle to get institutional equity and to get long-term investment in our city if those institutional partners aren't seeing our city and our community united in really tackling this problem. So just wanted to mention a little bit about that here as we talk, because a lot of times this is just a quick bridge little design that I just wanted to show you all. But I know you guys have seen this before. Just wanted to refresh your memory.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, but I think it's a big challenge, guys. That we need to. There's not 7 acres of land or 6.5 acres of land everywhere, right, across our city where developers can just do this, right? This is one project that is contributing to, really to this kind of neighborhood's resiliency. But, we don't have, development rights like this in other parts of our city. And so the real debate and question is if we know we want to be serious about this. And I think the incentives need to go to the existing homeowners. The incentives need to go to the existing businesses, to the existing hotel owners, in order to adapt their parking facilities, their swales, their civil infrastructure, making upgrades in the civil infrastructure. How do we make it have and there's a lot of ideas that I've been thinking about. Some of them are somewhat risky, and some of them aren't. For instance, one idea that I've been thinking a lot about is how we're grading our neighborhoods or grading our properties. Today it's become known that homeowners typically want wind resistant glass, for high impact, and that those windows and glazing really become a determining factor in evaluating the value of the property, right? And so as we look at that example and how you've seen homeowners retrofitting their homes to kind of add high impact glass, well, how do we get that same type of methodology thinking when we're thinking of our neighborhoods and really creating, whether it's A, B, C zones or 1, 2, 3 zones, where we have the more vulnerable areas, the less vulnerable areas. We could identify homes that are contributing to the problem and homes that are mitigating the problem. We could identify buildings that are contributing and buildings that are mitigating the problem. And it's kind of an assessment. It's kind of a whole process, in my view, of hiring the right, like in valuations, we have appraisers. In this case, we would have a resiliency expert that could do an evaluation based on specific criteria of whether property owners are contributing or not. And this is financing climate resilience and doing climate resilience in an existing fabric and existing neighborhoods. It's something that for us is very challenging, but I really see the chamber being able to really take a lead on this. And it's just something that I wanted to bring up, which is new development will happen sporadically and will be sprinkled throughout our community in an appropriate way, I believe. But there are limitations if we only think that new development is how we're going to solve this problem. And so I just wanted to reinforce to you all that I think we need to think a little differently, and we need to work with the city and the community to start thinking about that the resiliency solution is not a city problem. As we always sit here and talk about stuff, and we're, well, the city needs to do this, or I'm with my friends at dinner and whatever. Well, the city needs to do this on public safety, or the city needs to do this on resiliency. Well, what are we doing? I was with a real estate agent that I won't give her name up, and she was complaining to me about what was happening from a public safety standpoint. And then I'm like, well, why don't you participate in a meeting I'm about to go to kind of talk about this? And she didn't go to the meeting. She was busy, and I'm sure because she has a career and she has her business, but it's a big sacrifice, the volunteerism that you all do in order to get involved in some of the complicated issues in our city. We need to start making, kind of rethinking and kind of educating our community about how we're on this together and how it's not us against the city, and trying to change the dynamics a little bit because, and I think both sides, also from the city perspective, the city needs to kind of think about how they communicate with the residents and vice versa. I think, some of the frustrations we've been having with lift stations and pump stations, I think, sometimes the city thinks they're doing community outreach, sometimes they're not doing enough. And so it's a challenging city, it's a challenging issues that we're facing. And I think the leadership of this chamber in trying to provide healthy discussion around these topics, I think is something. I mean, I still remember the chamber event, Jerry, that we did at the W Hotel when we, I think you and the chamber and Robin, you guys hosted all the university presidents and hosted, I mean, a pretty great panel of experts that were talking about the challenges and problems. And I just love to see more of that, and kind of, maybe bringing in, some experts to come talk to the chamber, to, inviting the resident groups in as well, to kind of participate in this in kind of a solution-based kind of approach, so that it's not only about, oh, don't raise my road. I mean, it's just, and it's a struggle, and I get scared, right? Because if the administration thinks that the residents don't want to solve the flooding issues or those types of things, then I get concerned, right? Because then if the community doesn't want it, why should the administration be focused on making and investing and prioritizing those dollars? Sometimes they have to anyways, and I think we just gotta maybe do a better job of trying to get kind of some of those naysayers or people with different perspectives to kind of be part of the dialogue and trying to see if we could convince or persuade of a different approach. And just wanted to mention that, and then I'll stop sharing. For me, one of the big things I'd love, I wanted to mention to all of you is we will be building the Convention Center Hotel. I think we're excited about that. For us, it was scary. Pandemic was extremely scary for the hospitality sector, for all of us. I appreciate all the support you all have given us and the city throughout this time, but in all the different conversations that, I participated in some conversations about, trying to restart our economy and small businesses and trying to help small businesses. And I think the chamber's work's been great there. But for us, we've seen our hotel industry roar out of this pandemic, and with really record ADR, record occupancy levels, and it's something that is a breath of fresh air for me when I'm going out there trying to raise the capital to build a convention center hotel. It's not like we have a anchor lease from a huge shopping center. I mean, a huge from a Target or a Walmart or something like that. It's not like we have a pre-sold condo with 100 units or 200 units sold. This is somewhat of a little more speculative, but the research and the communication we've been having throughout the hotel industry is Miami's really at the center of this new economy, and I think I'm really excited for what I've been seeing from the tourism perspective. I'm excited when the international travel starts. So we're hopeful to get back onto our construction schedule. We've been we had proposed some ideas about doing certain modifications to our approved plans. I've kind of removed those. Those are off the table. We will be building parking for the hotel at our site. It was an idea during COVID that I had in order to reduce the costs. We really didn't understand how this hotel industry was going to recover post-pandemic. I mean, you guys remember last July and August, kind of what we were dealing with, but it's been great. I mean, from December to today, just really all the numbers have been really a record, and so we're excited. I think I think our goal is that we start construction next year, probably around third quarter, and we're really looking forward to it. So we're excited about that. also, interested in kind of some of the plans that the city has for Lincoln Road and all the different parcels there to try to promote office development. I know Russell came on, I think, one day a few months ago to talk about the community health project. We're very excited about that and the opportunity there. And we obviously need to coordinate with the county and city to move that ahead. But I'm available for any questions or comments. But I just really wanted to focus on a new approach to thinking about resiliency, where we start using the private properties as part of the solution, and how do we incentivize owners to make those investments or provide them funding or subsidies to make investments in order to contribute to the solution. So with that, I don't know, Robin and Jerry, if I did a good enough job, but just wanted to kind of give you guys a quick update.
That was really great. Yes, John Stewart, yesterday, of course, we had our meeting yesterday afternoon on voter empowerment, and you were willing to help put together a questionnaire. I think David has given us some very solid leads on where we might go with some of our questions for commission candidates. And we could, the takeaway message that I have from David this morning, the number one message is, how do we incentivize the public to take personal responsibilities, and to do our own fair share, and what types of incentives could be available to incentivize all of us to take a more proactive stance. So I think, formulating some questions for candidates along those lines would be very, very helpful, I think. David, one other question. We just, prior to this, Mark Geminani and Javon Tillett had a construction and development council meeting. And a number of the people here were in that meeting. And we were talking about one of the points of the discussion came up about the delay in getting materials. What have you seen in your industry? What kind of time delays or cost increases are you seeing in materials and delivery supplies?
Significant. For instance, PVC, we're seeing probably 30–40% increase, partly due to Louisiana, which is really where they kind of manufacture the most PVC, and we're the closest proximity to us from a distribution standpoint. So they got hit with hurricanes, and then before they could get their manufacturing plant set up, they got hit with COVID. So that kind of delayed. So then we have our wood, right? Our sheets of just basic lumber. We had an analysis done, and from our shell contractor was asking for an increase, and he showed me it was like $15 a sheet, and now it's $50 a sheet. And so I said, that's 300%. That doesn't make any sense, and I called everybody I could to kind of figure out somebody's doing something here. But it just so happened that December, we're comparing December 19 numbers to December 2020 numbers to then June numbers. And it's significant. I personally, other people have other perspectives. I personally think this is a short-term issue. I feel that as we all get out of this pandemic, there's just been a pent-up demand, a backlog. There's a huge amount of economic recovery stimulus dollars that is really in this system, and it's creating a huge economic, power, and so there is there's like a rush in property development throughout the country, and I've even been studying Charleston. I've been studying what's happening in St. Pete, studying what's happening in Atlanta. I just see certain states, including Florida, Texas, certain states are really seeing a huge amount of property development, and with that, a huge amount of demand. And so the material suppliers, as we all know, are sometimes, when you really layer in and get up to the middlemen, there's probably a few or a handful of suppliers. And so, sometimes, we've been through this before throughout different cycles over the last 21 years that I've been doing this. I've been through these cycles, and sometimes definitely you see suppliers feed into the paranoia and test the market and see if we keep building and we keep, and then we keep building and then the prices go up. For instance, Lennar in their purchase sale agreements has a material escalation clause in there. So they're selling homes, but prior to the closing, they have an ability to adjust the price based on material price escalation. So Jerry, long answer, but it's real. The material escalation is real. In my view, it's short term. I think 6 months we're out of this. Now, as it relates to inflation, that's a different conversation that for another day. And how and whether wages are growing, but we see in real estate values and even rents are significantly higher. I have an employee that works for me. He was renting in a building in Brickell, and he had his apartment. He was renting it for $3.50 a foot, which is high. Okay. And he just said his landlord just told him that they were going to increase the rent to $4.50 a foot. That's a 25%, almost 25% increase in rent. I'm seeing it across my portfolio. Rents are growing. Purchase price, home prices, residential prices are growing. Material prices are growing. Wages are growing. So it's we're in an interesting time right now. We have been in, this pandemic did create a certain pent up or backlog of tourism, a backlog of progress. And so, I think it's something we all want to be monitoring, but my gut is that the supply chain issues should start getting normalized over the next 6 months. And then the next question is going to be, what is that increase, right? If that sheet of plywood was $15, it went up to 50, where is it going to normalize in pricing, right? And that's something I think we're going to figure out over the next 6 months. David,
a quick pivot. Congratulations on the launch of the sales. I think it was yesterday for 500 Alton Road, 5 Park. Is that correct address?
Yes, 5 Park.
5. The question, what do you see is the initial demand for international buyers? Do we see any?
Sure. So what's interesting is our formal launch is really in October. So we're going to be building our sales center where we're building the retail pavilion. So we're building that in October, but we started getting an immense amount of demand and interest. We had done that fence. We hired Ruben Toledo, who's kind of an important illustrator from New York, that to do something fun and interesting and artistic at the gateway to the city. But we started getting this read, so we opened up a pop-up in South of Fifth. And to be perfectly frank, it's been pretty. It's something I haven't seen before. We're building a project in the Grove with the Cipriani family that we started sales in the middle of COVID, and we're 90% sold.
Wow.
And so 5 Park's been seeing an immense amount of interest and demand. I definitely think from an international standpoint, Mexico, Brazil, Peru, even Colombia, we're going to see a huge wave of families that have been stuck. The travel restrictions, impact us more than ever. And just imagine that with all these travel restrictions internationally, where our ADR rates are, where our occupancy is, it just reinforces the strength of our destination. As long as we continue making smart decisions to make our city better. But I think South America is strong and will be even stronger once the travel restrictions and the quarantine requirements. For instance, in Brazil, you have to quarantine somewhere for 14 days once you leave before you're allowed to come in. So it's a little cumbersome. And then you also have Europe. which is kind of, now opening up. I'll be going to a wedding, in Europe this summer, and just I'm kind of learning kind of all the new rules and regs and what they're doing. So, I think, Italy is going to be a really interesting option. Traditionally, Italians have always had a big interest in Miami Beach, and so we're really excited about that potential as well. But really, I think Europe, Latin America is going to really, it's going to just grow the already existing domestic demand that we've been seeing from California and New York, and so we're excited. I'm really bullish on this season. I'm bullish. I mean, and I'm sure a lot of your friends and that are hotel owners or business owners have been telling you how well they've been doing the month of May and June, which traditionally have not been the strongest months for us. But for the most part, I'm really bullish about this year, and I think it's that we need to embrace the positive news, because we get enough of the negative. We need to really embrace that positive news and really continue to let the world know what a great place Miami Beach is to live in and do business in. So,
no, thank you for making it a better place to live, David. Certainly more resilient from the view from the park.
we just need more of those projects. I mean,
David,
just
what's the
well.
timeline? What's the timeline when you think the park will open?
August. It was supposed to be June, but we had a setback with
Oh, so you're
with
close.
the cistern. Yeah. Once the cistern went in, everything gets finished now. The cistern kind of held us up around 60 days trying to get it down there, and we had to get all these divers to kind of do it. So yeah.
And the completion of the bridge?
So the bridge will be completed at the same time of the tower. So Moss is already on the clock. So we're completing that in 30 months. The 48-story tower gets completed in 30 months. So in essence, let's just call it, we have 29 more months left, and let's call it that the bridge starts construction in 12 months. So that'll take another, call it 15, 16 months for completion. So for the most part, the bridge and the tower get completed at the same time. It's probably safer that way as well, given the proximity of the bridge to the tower and the ramp and everything. So it's kind of the tower and the bridge are gonna kind of get built at the same time.
Well, it's fantastic. Does anybody have a question they would like to ask for David? Anybody?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mark.
David, so the largest undeveloped piece of land on the beach is probably the golf course. I mean, it's not, I mean, it's undeveloped as far as buildings go. What are we doing to create that into a massive cistern water collection type of property? Is that in the works now?
I don't believe it's in the works, but I do believe somebody proposed that as a plan. I've built on 2 golf courses before. I will tell you the arsenic, the level of the arsenic levels and the remediation plan that needs to happen in order to make it a suitable place to kind of manage water, I think is costly, right? Because all the stuff that's inside the fertilizers that people use in these golf courses is not really good for stuff. But I think you're right, Mark. I think when I look at permeable area and I look at area to be able to hold water, that golf course is definitely a target. But it's also a huge amenity for our residents. It's really our only public golf course, and it's a huge amenity, and it's something that we need to think about and maybe look at a way, which I think, I'm thinking on the spot with you, Mark, maybe redesign the golf course in a manner to kind of highlight to kind of at least maintain the 18 holes or maybe reduce to 9, but I think or kind of see if you could redesign the 18 holes to create a zone for stormwater management. you know, I think that's for water storage. I think that's an interesting idea, but you know, again, that's going to require a great plan and a lot of community outreach. And because I think in general the community wants to preserve the golf course, but on the flip side, we also need to protect ourselves from kind of the challenges associated with the world thinking that Miami Beach is not solving its water problems. And so we really need to balance those two things out. But, you know, definitely it is something that's a consideration. I remember, I don't know, Jerry or Robin, if you remember, there was somebody put up a plan to kind of do something there, but I don't know if it went anywhere. But Mark, you see, for me, I'd love for you to call the city and or send an email out there and have the chamber kind of put together a list of projects or ideas. Hey, why don't we research how a single family home can adapt and contribute to the water storage? Hey, you know, hey, how, you know, have the chamber request the city, we'd like you to study ways of preserving the golf course, but at the same time expanding the water storage. I think you know, and I talked to at the Air and Sea show a little bit to Robin and Jerry about it. Is, you know, I've never seen the chamber right now. It's at a great place from in my opinion, an identity standpoint with the community and government. So there's a lot of, I don't know what the word is, respect. And so I think there's a next phase of this chamber, which is really that, you know, how do we not only advocate for change, but really, you know, become part of that change and holding accountable some of these ideas that we all have, like the golf course, and saying, hey, let's vet that solution out. Let's not just throw out an idea and just let it sit there for 10 years. Let's vet it out, you know, and that's I think a role the chamber, you know, is taking on matters, and just needs to kind of comprehensively give all the different needs that we have to make our city better.
Wow, a lot of food for thought. David, thank you so much. You know, we're resilient PGA class golf course would be a first. Love to see that happen on Miami Beach. It'd be great for our new hotel. So Jerry, do we have any updates?
I just want to, you know, give people a couple reminders of some things upcoming. This afternoon at 4 o'clock, our DE&I Council is meeting. It's going to be a very interesting meeting with Canadian companies. Lots of Canadians are moving down to South Florida. We learned that last week, and you're welcome to join that. And then also, the DE&I is also doing a program on Saturday, which is Juneteenth. For those of you that never participated in Juneteenth before, the city just started celebrating it last year. There will be a program in Pride Park, which is right in front of the convention center, of course. I believe that's at 9 in the morning. And we're going to be recognized there for being the first organization in town to have a DE&I council. And then we're actually hosting a program at the Betsy Hotel at 9 o'clock Saturday night, you know, right out by the orb between the, you know, the alley between the connection of the two buildings of the Betsy. But everyone's invited to go to the Betsy. You can have dinner, enjoy some music in the lobby, and then precisely at 9 for 30 minutes, from 9 to 9:30, we will have a program on Juneteenth with some readings and poetry and some comments. And I want to thank John Stewart for helping put that together. Also, Eva Diaz and Andre Williams, our co-chairs, and Deanne Connolly-Graham. So we invite you all to come.
And it's great to see you, Jerry. It's great to see you on today, and Deanne, it's great to see you on. And Deanne was a little under the weather. And David, we can't thank you enough. I've never heard this group so quiet before. It's amazing. They were listening to every word. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Really appreciate it.
Amazing.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Bye-bye, guys.